me. And if the one thing, I think there's one thing that the devil really wants us to believe in our weakest moments, that we're alone. Because he wants us to not find accountability in our lives. He doesn't want us to find community. He doesn't want anybody to be able to pull us out of the place where we've gone. And, I found it to be true in so many areas of my life. And, I've been married for 9 years to my wife, Sarah. And I'm so grateful to have a wife like her. And over the course of those 9 years, man, we've been blessed to have a wonderful marriage. We have 2 little girls, 4 and 2. Their names are Emmy and Claire. And, like I've mentioned before, we have baby Bowen on the way. And before I continue with this, I do want to mention that Chris and his wife, Dominique, are about to have their second baby, a little girl, in August. And a little boy. And then Pete and his wife, Melissa, are about to have their very first, a little girl, in August as well. So, so our families are growing. It's crazy. It's awesome. We love it. But this song was birthed out of a time when my wife and I were just struggling to connect in our marriage. Just a few years ago, we kind of got caught. I don't know if you guys have ever read that book, Love and Respect. Has anybody here ever read that? If you haven't, you should, because it's an incredible insight on marriage and life and relationships. And, he has a thing he calls the crazy cycle, especially in a marriage when a woman doesn't feel loved in a certain way that she needs to be loved. And she responds in a way that feels disrespectful to her husband. And then out of that, her husband, all he wants is to be respected. And he feels disrespected, and he acts out in a way that feels unloving to his wife. And it goes around and around and around. They call it the crazy cycle, because until somebody stops it, it'll just drive you crazy. And for a lot of people, it'll drive you straight into divorce or separation. And my wife and I got to a place where we just knew that we weren't going to do that. So instead of fighting each other, we started fighting our own pride and our own selfishness. And we started taking all the things that we couldn't fix and laying them at the feet of Jesus, who can. And God began to work in our lives. It was just incredible, just seeing His grace. I heard a guy say this a couple years ago, and I loved it when he said this, because it's so true. And if you're married, you'll know this. And if you're not, know this going into it. Marriage is the closest you'll ever come to heaven, but it's also the closest you'll ever come to hell. And your spouse will see the best and the worst of you. And that's the moment when you really start understanding what true grace means. When you see the very worst of somebody and you still choose to keep a covenant and love beyond all obstacles. And that's what we decided to do. And part of that was just stopping making excuses for ourselves and just accepting our faults and our failures, even the little ones and the big ones, whatever they were, looking at all the things we didn't like about each other and about ourselves, and just beginning to hand it over and praying together and digging into some resources that began to help us. And along the way, my wife kind of sat me down this one day. Well, she didn't kind of sit me down. She sat me down with such a loving spirit, though. You see, because we had laid all that contempt at the feet of Jesus, and I saw her brokenness for what it was. And she just looked at me with tears in her eyes. She said, "You know what, our life has been crazy, and I need you more than ever to be a better leader in our home." And one of the ways that she asked me to be a better leader was spiritually, to lead her better as a man of God. And it hit me so hard, because my whole life I had all these intentions of the kind of man that I was going to be. I thought I was going to be the man that prayed with my wife and my kids every night and, led them in the Word. And I just hadn't been disciplined at that. And I realized that day that my intentions meant absolutely nothing. Because any kind of leadership, especially spiritual leadership, is a discipline. You have to do it. You can't think about it. You can't intend to do it. You can't dream about doing it. You got to put it into action. And you got to build your home on the solid foundation of Jesus Christ. The most important thing that we can do as men is invest the best of our lives into our family. You see, a lot of times as men, we run off in the world and we try to be successful. We want to be successful and respected at work, and we'll go out into the places where we can never be number one. We compare ourselves to everybody else out there. We keep trying to climb the ladder. We got to do this, we got to do that. We give the best of our lives to all these things. But guess what? There's only one place where each man can be number one. That's in his own home. He can be the most successful with his own wife and kids. And that's the place that we should be investing the best of our lives. Because when everything else is gone, God and family is all that we have left at the very end. And I don't want to be the kind of man that looks back on my life and regrets the time that I missed. I want to soak it all up, and I want to look back and say, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I did that with my kids and my wife, and I made the most of my life. And so this song came out of me that day when my wife challenged me, because then I knew that it was time to be disciplined and start building a life that she needed, that I wanted, that my kids are going to need, that God wants from me as a leader. And I started just playing my guitar that afternoon, and this song just started coming out about the heart of my wife, the heart of my kids, and ultimately it turned into a prayer of a father and a husband saying, Lord, I want to lead my family with all that I have, but if I'm going to do that, I need your strength. I need you to lead me. And that's where it all starts. Laying it down at the feet of Jesus, like I already said, but I can't drill it enough. Giving it to God. He's our rock when we are not. And I just pray that this song seeps into your soul. It washes over you and hits you right where you feel it. And there's this prayer in this song. And whether you're a mother or a father or a single parent, or you want to be a spouse or a parent someday, maybe you're too young right now, make up your mind as to what kind of man or woman you're going to be, and commit your lives to Christ. Be disciplined in that. And the prayer says, Father, give me the strength to be everything I'm called to be. Show me the way to lead. Won't you lead me? And when that part comes, if you know this song, I want you to lift your hands and sing it with me if that's what you're feeling today, and that's the kind of person you want to be. And if you don't know it, just soak those words in and just offer it up to Him. And let's start living it every single day. This is called